And I want to congratulate those that have been sworn in for one position or the other in our SUG government. I also want to congratulate the staff and students that produce these candidates that are now presiding over the affairs of the SUG, the University of Nigeria. Also, I just want to speak to the parents and guardians, because you have a lot of role to play in the way these young lads comport themselves. Sometimes, these days, everything is left for the lecturer and for the teacher and the other university workers to do for the parents. The parents now fail to advise their children and their wards accordingly. But remember that whatever you are going to be starts from home. If you are a thief, you start from home to become a thief. If you are a pastor, you start from home. If you want to be that kind of gentleman, righteous person that wouldn't want to touch anything, start from home. But the way you lie, the way you make your bed, so you will lie on it. But I want to urge the parents, please, always speak to these your children. When I was a young lad, after my school certificate, I worked for some months. Because there's things where that was the era of auxiliary teaching. I didn't go into auxiliary teaching because I feared teaching. I didn't know eventually I would end up a teacher. So I bought a motorcycle. I was living with my parents, so the work I was doing, if I get my money, I'll put it in my pocket. Don't ask me what I do with them. So I bought a motorcycle after some few months of working. And my father called me. He saw my friends coming in the evening to take some bottles of beer with me. He didn't talk to us. Anyone that comes, he say, Daddy, well done, though. Chadi has bought it. Say, he's doing well. But then in the morning, for the first time, my father woke me up very early. Around 4:35. That he was not used to doing. Call me up. If you don't know my name, my parents didn't know me as Charles. Even though they gave me the name at baptism, Charles. They knew me as Arise. My father called me Arise Bia. Came out. That was after the. In fact, he had done his own private prayers before the family prayers. And this was coming before the family prayers. I saw your friends coming yesterday. You are drinking and doing everything because you bought a motorcycle. Tell me, how did you get the money to buy a motorcycle after a few months of working? You must break it down to the nearest couple. This is what parents fail to do these days. And I had to tell my father, from the night, then it was a motorcycle of 395 naira. 395 naira. I'm sure you cannot imagine, because that was the annual salary of a university graduate then. I mean, monthly salary. They were earning about 200, and all of a university graduate, and all of a sudden the school certificate holder just went down to Mano Motors and bought a Honda Bentley Super. And then I started breaking down. I said, I earned so much. And Daddy, I was keeping my money. And then I was going on field work because I was working with survey unit. And that was at the inception of river bases in Nigeria. And each time we go out, every day you are given 10 naira as an allowance. Every day. And you might stay out for about 3 months. And I had to break down all this things to the lowest couple. Then my father said, okay, can I go and ride a motorcycle? Parents, I'm talking to you. I don't know how many of you. Very soon, these boys now that have been taken on oath will start bringing new cars to you. The boy you are paying school fees for. And you will not want to ask him, where did you get this money? Which people's money did you embezzle? Because now that is the main thing, embezzling money. And the people take pride in doing that. In our native village, in our societies, when you embezzle money, that's when you go to Abuja and come back with a whole lot of money, then you become a chief. And that was why the late Odmewu people said he will not answer chief, but D. That chief looks like thief. Don't quote me. But I'm quoting Ikemba name, late Ikemba name. I'm not saying that if you make genuine money, especially these days, you know, sometimes people don't understand some of these things. They call Yahoo boys. These boys stay on their phone and their laptop and make millions of dollars. If that is done intelligently, but not by stealing somebody's thing. But you are coding for people. You are working for an institution somewhere or an organization and you make good money. To God be the glory. But if you steal people's money, you will suffer for it. Parents, I urge you to check these boys and girls. Some years back, as the Vice Chancellor, a parent was sitting around that place. Yes, Dean of Student Affairs, I hope I'm correct. Yes, sir. A parent was sitting around that place and somebody was taking on oath, just like the young man who came and delivered his speech. By the time this guy was leaving, his colleagues were accusing him of embezzling their 75 million naira. I hope I'm making sense. And they wanted to put all of us into trouble. Of course, I don't know of any professor now here, my fellow professors, I'm not trying to cajole us. I don't know of any professor that has up to 20 million or even 10 million in his bank account. This is the reality. I'm not trying to discourage you. It's a noble job. I'm happy doing it. Out of research, out of teaching, out of studying, I became a man. My story in life changed. I come from a very poor home, but out of studying, out of doing research, out of being diligent in my duty, my life story changed. I want to tell you that the sky is your limit. Keep your hands straight. You are still young. I know that when I'm saying this, some people like somebody came here, a guest, and he said when he was a member of council of Lagos State Lagos State University, he was admonishing young children like this. And one of them got up and said, "Okay, you've taken your own. Don't worry, when we finish taking our own, we can change." You can see the mentality of the people we are bringing up. How many of those people how many of them survived? How many of them eventually made it in life? So I want to tell you, people are not the first to practice today in unionism. We were there. We were there before you. Some time ago, I don't remember that Ajawachuku is now a female hostel. And I told the story when we were in charge at Ajawachuku. And the next day, the lady hall governor came to my office while I was deputy vice chancellor. I said, "Sir, now that you belong to Ajawachuku, we are having an end of year party. Contribute your own." So just to show you that we also play today union politics. And that's how it starts. If you play it well, you end up well. If you play it badly, you end up badly. I can give you up to 40 names now standing here that made it from student unionism to where they are now. So yours will not be different. Parents, guardians, well-wishers, you have a lot of work to do. This thing can be very, very enticing. What you see in administration can be very enticing. But once you saw your hand once or twice, that is the beginning of the whole bad show. Thank you very much, and we are glad to see you.